Bam, everybody, bam. We are here for the sentencing of Karmelo Anthony. The sentence, I just got word, should be coming in momentarily. Let me see what we have here to share with all of you. Let's see. Let me pull it up. I'm following the journalists, of course. Let's see what we have. Breaking. He looks distraught. Karmelo Anthony jury has reached a decision. Karmelo Anthony walks into the courtroom, looks distraught, looks like he's been crying like a little bitch. His attorney is comforting him. Karmelo is sitting at the defendant table with his head hanging down. I wonder if it's hanging 6 feet down, like Austin Metcalf's head. I have to keep refreshing the page here. I'm looking at, but let me share this. I'm looking at Mary Ann Reports. She's done great reporting on this. So you should follow her if you're into this stuff. Yeah, sorry guys, I just got off a plane. So no tie Branca for this. I saw the news and I ran down to start a live stream real quick, so we can all enjoy. I hope it's infinity years in Dante's Ninth Circuit of Hell. That's what I aspire to for the murderer, convicted murderer, Karmelo Anthony. Anthony's parents did not return to the courtroom, despite the jury being called back. The grift is over. There's no more give, send, go money to be made off their son. They're done with him. Clean your hands. Go find your new family in prison, boy. That's what they're saying. All that money they collected, none of it for his legal defense. None of it for his legal defense. Contemptible. I got a couple other journalists here I've been following. I'll probably stay with Mary Ann. She's been doing great work, but just to cover my bases, and she's clearly right there. I'm going to keep refreshing because I want to keep knowing what's going on. I know Mary Ann will come through for us. This is Mary Ann on X, Mary Ann Reports, at Mary Ann Reports. Sentenced to 35 years. 35 years in prison for the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf after the same jury found him guilty of murder earlier today. They rejected the manslaughter plea. 35 years. I would have preferred infinity. I did not get infinity. I got to post this real quick. Sorry about that, folks. Just got to take care of business here. Get it out to all my peeps. There we go. 35 years in prison. Could have been as low as 2, my friends. Could have been as low as 2. Not the 99. Not the 99 I would have preferred. All right, back with all of you. Thank you for your patience there. 35 years in prison. Let me do a quick poll. Convicted murderer Karmelo Anthony sentenced by jury to 35 years. Your take. Let's start. Let's see where should I start? Totally inadequate. Perfectly on target. I have to teach people how to do this. Let's see. Perfectly inadequate will be 1 in chat. Totally inadequate will be 1 in chat. Perfectly on target, 2 in chat. Way too high. Whitey. 3 in chat. All right, the poll is going to go up. And again, you don't click on the poll in StreamYard. You have to put the number in the chat, all right? So, convicted murderer Karmelo Anthony sentenced by jury to 35 years in prison. What's your take? Totally inadequate? Put a 1 in the chat. Perfectly on target? Put a 2 in the chat. Way too high? Whitey? Put a 3 in the chat. Let's see what everyone thinks of all of this. And while that's happening, I'll just remind you all again, don't forget Father's Day is coming. Father's Day is coming. Get them the mug. I have the mug right here. Hold on. Here it is, the real mug, the real Trump mugshot mug, a huge mug, $250 bill. We have regular size mugs too. They look a little different. We have t-shirts, cell phone cases, but this is the premier product. The huge, huge Trump $250 note mugshot mug. That's your president's mugshot, my friends. If your dad likes Trump, he will love this mug. If he hates Trump, buy him two. Buy him two, and he can smash them together into little bitty pieces. It'll be one of the most memorable Father's Days you've ever given to your TDS afflicted father. He'll thank you forever. He'll love you. You'll be his favorite child, his most favorite child, if you get him those mugs. And I'm going to pop it right into his the chat most favorite child and pin it. $250 note mug, shot mug. There's the link. There's the link. And it does, I caution, it does take about a week to get it. So you don't want to order at the last minute, folks. You want to order right now to make sure your dad can get it right now. This amazing mug. It doesn't cost $250, by the way. It should. I mean, come on. In the post-apocalypse, I bet you could trade this for $250 worth of dollars. $250 worth of dollars. Is no one doing the poll? Did I do something wrong? Do I need to? Is it not working? You guys are putting stuff in, right? Is it working? Oh, good heavens. StreamYard. It's not working. All right, I'm going to have to do it. You're going to make me do it. You're going to make me do it in YouTube. Here we go. Convicted murderer and demon. I don't have enough letters. Karmelo Anthony gets 35 years. Let's see. Totally inadequate is the first choice. Perfectly on target is the second choice. And way too high, Whitey, is the third choice. Now, this time, you'll be able to click on it just in YouTube. It's a normal YouTube poll. Whew. What a day. What a day. This morning, Karmelo Anthony started the day as a presumptively innocent man. And then he got his ass convicted of murder by a jury. And then you know what he did? He started crying like a little bitch. The little bitch that carved out the heart of a white 17-year-old. Genuinely good kid, 4.0 GPA. Cut his heart out of him like an Aztec savage. And now Karmelo, he was a tough guy then, wasn't he? Tough guy. You touch me, and I'll shove this knife through your sternum into your heart, white boy, cracker. And now he's in court crying like a little bitch. He gets that guilty verdict, crying like a little bitch. He's going to be a bitch for the next 35 years. And his lawyers asked the judge, Your Honor, look at our poor weeping client. Can he have a moment to pull himself together? And you know what Judge Roach said? Judge Roach said, I'm going to paraphrase. Judge Roach said, fuck no. No, he can't have a moment to pull himself together. A moment ago, he was a defendant, and he was presumed guilty until he was presumed innocent until deemed proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by a jury. Now that's happened. He's not a defendant anymore. Your shitbag client's now a convict, and the rules are different for convicts. Now he's determined guilty. He doesn't get me time as a convict. He gets convict time as a convict. Sheriff, deputies, seize that demon. Good for you, Judge Roach. There's still some testosterone in America's criminal justice system. Although I hear this is Judge Roach's last trial, that he's retiring. I'm sure they'll put a gay woman in the spot. Then we'll see what happens. But for this trial, at least, no, you don't get any me time. You get convict time. And now we're going to go right to sentencing. There's no month delay. There's no pre-sentencing reports because you elected demon Karmelo Anthony. You elected before this trial started to have the jury determine your sentence. In most states and in Texas, it would be the judge within sentencing guidelines who sets your sentence. But Texas does a weird thing. Defendants can choose. They have to choose before the trial starts, but they can elect to not have the judge set their sentence. They can elect to have the jury set their sentence. And that was the election made by this demon, Karmelo Anthony. And so the moment after he was deemed guilty by the jury had a second decision to make. They had to decide what his sentence was going to be. You know who the state put up to talk to the jury about what the sentence should be? Nobody. The state said, we've said everything we need to say to this jury. They know what we think the sentencing should be. You know who the defense put up to try to convince the jury to mitigate the sentence? One witness, Karmelo Anthony's mother. 2 questions they asked her. That's it. That was the entire thing. That was their entire effort to mitigate this demon sentence. And of course, she just begged for mercy for her boy. Begged for mercy for her boy, who shoved a knife through the sternum and into the heart of another mother's son, who did no more than softly touch him on the shoulder. How much mercy did Austin Metcalf get? How much mercy did the mother of Austin Metcalf get from the demon she begat from her loins and raised to be this murderous monster? No mercy for them. But now you want mercy for your son? And she got some. It could have been 99 years. Too much mercy. In this attorney's view. But she got some. How's the poll looking? Totally inadequate is in the lead. 73%. Perfectly on target. A quarter of my audience thinks it's perfectly on target. And is there any way for me to share this on the screen? No? That's odd. And 1% say way too high, Whitey. I see you out there, haters. I see you out there, you racist, black supremacist haters. Love seeing white people killed. That 1%. That 1%. How's your boy doing now? How's your boy doing now? Remember, guaranteed acquittal? No way would the prosecution be able to prove intent or premeditation. The knife is not illegal. He could stand his ground. Austin Metcalf was not the boss of him. All of you whiny little bitches. They're lucky. He's lucky. He's lucky. Attorney Andrew Branco was not on that sentencing jury. Let's take a look at these super chats. Anime, $10. Do I have my ka-ching? I just started watching you during this case, but now you have a fan for life. Thanks for the great coverage and commentary. Here's an idea. If someone pushes you, do not stab them in the heart. That's an idea, right? Oh, all Austin Metcalf had to do was just not touch him. Okay, so I touch you and you stab me in the heart and kill me. You know what we call that, geniuses? Murder. We call that murder, these dunces. Utter dunces. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Box Fort defendant, remember that guy? Box Fort defendant, $5. I got 1,250 years in the slammer for killing 6, and this chump gets 35 for 1. I got screwed. Steph, $5. Jury was probably harsher than the judge would have been. His mistake going that route. I don't know. That's hard to predict. I mean, he's what? He's 19 years old now. Let's call it 20. So he's out when he's 55. I'm not sure how parole works in Texas. Chicken Charlie, $5. Are white parents not having talks with their kids about the violence coming from the black community? Schmidt and Metcalf found out the hard way. Well, what is that talk? I mean, hypothetically, what is the talk that white parents need to have with their white kids? Don't engage with black people? Is that the talk? I mean, when I hear about all the black people celebrating the death of Austin Metcalf, that this was a justified killing, because that's what that means. When they say Karmelo Anthony should be found not guilty, that means they believe the slaughter of Austin Metcalf was a justified killing. That's how things should work. If you lay a finger on a black person, they can stab you in the heart. How do civilized people live next door to that? Now, I want to make clear, there's plenty of black people I've seen on X who are like, Karmelo Anthony's just a murderer. He needs to go to prison for a long time. This was an unlawful killing. So it's not all. But there is a huge swath of the black community who feels like this is not only a justified killing, but simply what should happen. This is what white people should expect. You disrespect a black person, you should get a knife in the heart. You had it coming. You had it coming because you're white and they're black. So they get to do that. That's their privilege. I don't know what conversation other parents should be having with their kids. I can't speak to that. Other people raise their own kids. You might think about what you might do to mitigate the risk of getting stabbed in the heart. That would be a common sense thing to consider, right? Mr. Magoo, $20. I read the law of self-defense for the third time. How does parole work for Karmelo? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Maybe I'll take a look at Grok. I'm not really involved in parole type law. So my law is always in the litigation stage, the trial stage, and the appellate stage. Things like bail, things like parole are not things I'm normally involved in. But let me see if Grok can give us an answer. I'll ask Grok. In fact, I'll share this tab. Here we go. Let me share this with everybody. Given that Karmelo Anthony was just sentenced, can I make it bigger on the screen? There we go. To 35 years for the vicious and demonic murder of Austin Metcalf. What is the earliest year in which Anthony might be eligible for early release, such as parole? Thinking about my request, that's very kind of you, Grok. Around 2043 to 2044. So what's that, 15 years? 17 to 18 years, assuming the standard calculations. So he's in for 18 years. And then he's eligible for parole. By the way, you think this genius, demonic murderer who is Karmelo Anthony, you think he's not going to fuck up in prison? You think he's going to keep his nose clean for 18 years? This demon who slaughtered a 17-year-old peer on a playing field for a track meet for nothing? You think he's going to keep his temperament, his violence under control for 18 years in an environment like prison? Because if he fucks that up, there is no parole in 18 years. I think he's going to fuck it up. I hope so. Anybody see the movie Shot Caller? Shot Caller? You can put that in the comments. It's a movie about prison life. The main character, the protagonist, is involved in he's driving drunk, DUI fatality. A friend of his is killed. He's a stockbroker or something. Ends up sentenced to, I forget what it was, a year or two in prison. But as soon as he's in that environment, he's co-opted the various gangs, the various violence. There's no way to keep your nose clean. There's just no way. They make it impossible. And I hope they make it impossible for Karmelo, maybe soon to be Carmela, girl, boy, girl, whatever they call that, in prison. The Midnight Shadow Line, $2. I think it's inadequate. Austin won't be back. I hope he's not back. Pooping while standing, $2. Continue with your righteous of facts over feels. I got some feelings about this, for sure. James Mull, $5. Thanks for explaining all of this. Well, it's my absolute pleasure. Man, oh my God, there's thousands of you here. All right, listen, I'm not going to miss the opportunity, folks. You know I'm not shy about this kind of stuff. Get your Father's Day mug. Get your Trump mug for Father's Day. The link is pinned in the chat, or you can scan the QR code there. This is a beautiful mug. This is the big version, so I can put the big bill on it. But we have standard size mugs. We have T-shirts, coasters, mouse pads, cell phone cases. The only thing is it takes about a week to ship it to you. So you want to order it now to make sure you have it for Father's Day. If your dad loves Trump, I'm getting a bunch of these for my dad for Father's Day. If your dad loves Trump, he will love these mugs. He will love every morning. Just imagine every morning Trump's mugshot is having coffee with your dad, your Trump-loving dad, with the $250 bill on it. And if your dad hates Trump, buy him two, buy him more, buy him a half dozen and a hammer from Home Depot. That'll be one of the most memorable Father's Days your dad ever has. Your Trump-hating, TDS-afflicted dad. He'll be able to go outside and smash up those mugs. He'll never forget. You'll be his favorite child. Just think about the inheritance calculation there. And all it takes is a Trump mug for Father's Day. There's an arbitrage opportunity there, my friends. Arbitrage opportunity. Shines to God, member for 6 months. Thank you so much for that support. This kid is in for a reality check. Texas prisons are no joke. Do they do the chain gang thing in Texas? I don't know. It's at the right latitude, right, for that. Nice temperature there in Texas. I go to Texas every year. I like going to Texas on my motorcycle. I go in the winter. I can't imagine what it's like in the summer. Guy Kimball, $5. What about a civil suit? Can they sue his parents? Because obviously he was an adolescent. Sue him for what? Sue him for what? I mean, if you sue somebody, you have to think to yourself. So say I get a judgment for wrongful death. Say it's, I don't know, $1 million, $5 million, whatever it is. How do I collect the money? It's hard enough to collect the money when they have money. These people won't have any money. They raised, approaching $1 million for their son's legal defense, supposedly. And they spent it all on shit that was not legal defense. On homes, who knows, a boat, a jacuzzi. Who knows what they spend it on? But he has a public defender. He has a public defender. They didn't spend it on his legal defense. I'm sure they spent it. It's not like it's in a bank vault. You know how people like this are. This is the same class of person that wins the lottery, wins $10 million in the lottery. And a year later, they're broke like they were before, right? We all know people like this. They don't have any money. So what are you going to do? You're going to sue them, get a judgment, and not be able to collect? I don't know too many lawyers who would take this on contingency. Let me put it that way. Freaking Stoic, $10, says, you don't understand, Andrew. What am I going to tell my kids? That now they can't go somewhere they aren't allowed, instigate fights and unalive someone? Also, the all-white jury. The all-white jury, I'm seeing that all over the internet. We'll take a look at X, and we'll pull up some of the crazy posts just to have a laugh. The disgruntled DM with pics of him putting up a gang sign and the white resistance gang, he'll need to be in solitary to make the 35 without turning into a lifer. Yeah. Or the life sentence being less than 35 years old. Yeah. That movie I mentioned, Shot Caller, by the way, I think it's an excellent movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a movie that captures the essence of being a man in those difficult circumstances. I think they do a fantastic job in that movie. But that guy, that protagonist, he was a genius. He was a genius, and yet had to make incredible sacrifices to accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. I don't want to give it away in case anyone's not seen the movie. I don't want to spoil it. But what he needed to accomplish was the most important thing a father could do. And he did it. Sacrificed everything, really, except for that most important thing, which was the most important thing to him. So for him, it was a worthy trade. But he was a genius. I don't think Karmelo Anthony is going to be the genius of Cell Block F. Cell Block F, where right now they're putting up poster boards for all the inmates saying, good news, fellas. Next Saturday, free Karmelo. For everybody. For everybody. Everybody's going to get a little Karmelo in just a few days, very shortly. A little bit of Karmelo, a little piece of Karmelo Anthony. Free for anybody who wants a piece. A young little boy like that in prison, I'm sure he'll do just fine. He'll have his choice of dresses. Juan Mangus Mocas, $10, 35 years, and submarine status was almost adequate enough. He has to serve at least 50%. Okay, yeah, that sounds right? Grok said 18 years, that's 15% of 35. Submarine status, right? He's not going in for 35 years as a prior convict with a reputation and skills. He may as well be a teenage girl. He may as well be a teenage girl. It couldn't happen to a nicer demon. Than this monster. Carmela. Santiago. You're the one who sent me 20 Mexican pesos the other day, right? You know, I looked it up. It's $1.13, my friend. Super chats is supposed to be a minimum of $5. You're not fooling me. You're not fooling me. I'm going to stop clicking on those. I've been to Mexico. Gnome of Gnome is $20. People saying 35 years is appropriate have never experienced a loved one murdered. Disgusting. Was the Metcalf family able to do a victim impact statement? Why was Carmelo Anthony's mom allowed to say anything? I'm so mad. Well, both sides can put up evidence for the sentencing. The state demurred. Why wasn't Carmelo's... why didn't his father say anything? Why were there no character witnesses? Not one, not a single friend. This was a bad call on his part. He understands. And he knows he has to be punished. He knows it's terrible. He took a human life. He feels so bad for the loss of Austin Metcalf. Carmelo does. He feels so bad about it. Here's the problem. Well, they couldn't find a single friend, not one friend of Carmelo's to take that witness stand and say, listen, you've seen this kid at the worst stage of his life. I seen him and he was kind and gentle and caring and generous. That person is still inside him. Of course, he needs to be punished for what he did, but he can be saved. He can be saved. He can come out and be a productive man. Not a single person. Even his mother didn't say words like that. Even his mother basically was completely self-serving. I swear to God, dealing with these people is like dealing with adult-sized, retarded, completely self-centered, violent children. That's the level of their cognitive functioning. His mother comes out and basically pleads for herself. He's my oldest son. He's my firstborn. Do it for me. For me. It's about me. Not even about her son. I would have thought the defense attorneys would have sat down with her and said, listen, we're going to give you a little script to help you out. Maybe it has some effect. It's unbelievable. They couldn't find anybody to speak for Carmelo. He could have spoken. Why did he speak for himself? Because he's sitting there crying like a little bitch, and that's why. That's why. He knows he's never walking the same again. He knows he's going to have childbearing hips pretty soon. That's why he's crying. He was a big tough ass under that tent, wasn't he? Wasn't he? Calling everybody beaches, calling everybody patsies, telling everyone their ass on the playing field. Touch me, see what happens. You'll have to move me. You're all punks. You won't do anything. Let's see him bring that attitude into prison, shall we? See how that works out for him. Losing a loved one. I was very young. I was a child when I lost my mother, 13 years old. So I've experienced this since very early in my life. You lose a loved one. It hollows you out in a way that never gets filled, ever. Now, most of you who are my age, of course, you've experienced this too. Your parents, certainly grandparents. But for those of you who are younger, and everyone you care about is still alive, a time will come when they're not. So, hug them and kiss them now and all that, but a time will come when they're not. And when they're not, there's a hole there that's never really filled, never. It heals, kind of. But they're gone. They're gone. I remember after my mom died, I for years, I'd be at a shopping mall and I would catch somebody out of the corner of my eye. I was like, oh shit, that's my mother. I knew she was dead, of course, intellectually, but in subconsciously in your mind, you can't believe it. You can't believe it. You're still in denial years later. Just ask parents who've lost a child. It's even worse. And of course, The Metcalfs lost a child. Hunter lost a brother, a twin. A twin. Imagine how close they were. Because this little hideous demon from the Ninth Circuit of Hell had a fucking attitude problem. This little punk. Yeah, I'm a little worked up about it. Sorry, folks. I try to have a happy show. Happy show. And this is, maybe I'd feel better about it if he got the full 99 years. Colin says, don't worry, folks. Phone calls are already being placed. Bets are placed. He won't come out of prison. Eric Steele, $10. Before Karmelo was touched, when he said, touch me and see what happens, he already had his hand on the knife. Absolutely. Because the instant he was touched, one witness says the touch wasn't even in contact yet. That knife came out of the bag so fast and into Austin Metcalf's chest so fast that eyewitnesses watching the events didn't see the blade. They saw it was a push. They thought it was a shove in response. When he buried that knife in Austin Metcalf's heart, cut open a 2.5-inch gash. When he pulled up his shirt, you know what people saw? They saw a hole, like the thing on Iron Man, a hole in the center of Austin Metcalf's chest that was boiling over with blood. That's what Hunter saw. That's what everybody saw. An utter demon. I can't. D6, XK, $5. Savage Stream, no tie Branca is the best Branca. It's true, I don't have a tie on. I didn't have time to throw one on. I wanted to catch this right away. CXA, $345. The problem is that he could still age out at 54, still not understanding what he did, still not be remorseful. Karmelo has never apologized. You know what? It's a weird thing, right? I always think it's weird when they have this option for the jury to decide your sentence, like Texas does, like they did here. Because think about what's actually happening. What's actually happening is the jury that just convicted you, right? They thought poorly enough of you to find you guilty of the crime charged, in this case, murder. Now you're asking them, now that you found me guilty 5 minutes ago, now I want you to determine my prison sentence. When a judge does it, at least, the judge isn't the one who found you guilty, right? And maybe he's a cooler head. He's a professional, right? A judicial professional. He's got sentencing guidelines, and he does this all the time. It's not an emotional experience for him. But when you decide before the trial under Texas rules that, if you get convicted, you want the jury to sentence you. I mean, obviously, if you're not convicted, there's no sentencing. So the only time the jury is going to sentence you is when they already decided you fucking did it. You murdered this human being for no justifiable reason. You ended the existence of Austin Metcalf on the face of the earth for no good reason. And now those same people are tasked with deciding how long you should stay in prison. It doesn't seem to me like that would tend to work out well. It doesn't seem to me like that would tend to work out well. But who knows? Maybe you could argue it did. He didn't get 99 years. He got 35. Maybe he'll get out. We'll see. You know who won't be alive in 18 years? Austin Metcalf. And everything he would have accomplished. The woman he would have married. The children he would have had. The grandchildren for his parents. None of that will happen. Snuffed out. Snuffed out. Because a little shit-eating demon called Carmelo Anthony had an attitude problem that day on that track field. That's it. An attitude problem. That little punk-ass bitch. Eddie Rodriguez, $5. All the trolls in the chat from yesterday are oddly quiet today. I wonder why. Maybe they don't like No Tie Branca. Maybe that's what it is. I'm sure YouTube's gonna. Sorry for all the profanity, folks. I'm a little excited. I'm sure YouTube's gonna punish me for it. Out there, $5. They all get parole these days, no matter what their behavior. Well, parole's in 18 years. Listen, I don't make the rules about this stuff. You know what the rule used to be? The rule used to be, in relatively recent history, we didn't have prisons. We didn't have prisons. You were either exiled from society You were literally an outlaw. That's what outlaw means. You're outside the law. You're outside civilization. Anybody could kill you and it would not be a crime. You're no longer under the protection of the civilized state. That's what an outlaw literally means. And that's what we used to do. We used to outlaw people. They're exiled from civil society. Or we used to execute them. You know what we didn't do? We didn't spend trillions of dollars warehousing them at our own expense. I already covered that one. Roger Wood, $5. Here's to a life of being traded around in the pen for a pack of Newports and ramen noodle spice bag. Is that how it works? You get a BJ for a ramen noodle spice pack? Those are better rates than I got in college. I hope he was training for his sake. I had to buy girls dinner. They weren't going to do it for a ramen spice pack. That's crazy. Kimmy Hunt, $5. I ordered 3 Trump 250 mugs the night you were on with Joe. Can't wait. Oh, that's awesome. These are the mugs. They're beautiful. The link is in the chat, pinned in the chat, or use that QR code with your phone. You know how that works, I'm sure. Solid, $5. Says prisons make it impossible to keep your nose clean. Yeah, right. Highlights the corruption I'm uncomfortable with supporting. That said, there's always an exception. Is there always an exception? I don't know about that. I don't know that there's always an exception. Gito 463, how you doing, man? I didn't have time to set up a Rumble. Sorry about that. Just noticed you're streaming tonight. 35 years is definitely not long enough. It should be life, since he's not eligible for the death penalty. Yes, he's not eligible under Supreme Court precedent and probably under Texas death penalty law. I didn't bother looking since he's already ineligible under Supreme Court rules. Livingston, $20. Thank you, my friend. Had this attack had happened in a state where capital punishment exists, could this have been penalty by death? No. Capital punishment exists in Texas where this happened. But the Supreme Court has ruled that if you're under the age of 18 when you commit your offense, you cannot be executed for that offense. I don't know why. 14, 15, 16-year-old, mostly young black men are killing each other and others every weekend by the score all over America. Why do we want those genes in the gene pool? Does it make us more civilized? Does it make us safer? Is it morally correct to have these demographic tumors within the body politic, harvesting innocent, productive people at their whim? People like Austin Metcalf? Like a weed eater through society, through a beautiful lawn of productive society. They're demons. Demons walk amongst us. Gito, $5 says, hey, we missed you on Rumble tonight. I only had a minute. I didn't have Rumble's a little complicated to set up. Sorry about that. Shiloh, $5. Can you tell us what the size of the knife was? I'm seeing 2 different stories on it. If it was 5.5 minimum, that detective was wrong. No, I think when they're giving these measurements, they're giving the measurement of the total length, the overall length of the open knife is 5.5 inches. So that would typically give it a blade of like 2.5 inches, which was the depth of the wound. And we know the knife went all the way in because there was blood all the way up to the handle. So it's probably a 3-inch handle with a 2.5-inch blade that folds into the 3-inch handle. That would be a pretty common knife to cover, to carry. A knife with a 5.5-inch blade that's a big knife because you still have to have a handle attached to it. So I don't think that's what we're looking at here. Adventure, Black Accountability Matters. Bam. Should that be the next mug? I don't know. I might get in trouble. Black accountability. I'd have to put that in white on a white mug for it to make logical sense. What's that accountability? I'm not sure I've ever seen it. TJ Naz, member for 10 months. This is a former felon on YouTube there was a former felon on YouTube who was saying Karmelo was saying he was part of 2 major gangs and he actually wasn't in a gang. Oh, that's not a good idea. That's a really bad idea. They are waiting. So I've never been involved in criminal gangs, of course. I'm not involved in criminal activity, but I ride a motorcycle a lot. And every once in a while, you'll see these guys riding with a leather vest or the leather jacket, and they'll have the triple rockers on it, upper rocker, lower rocker, and this kind of seal in the middle. Well, there are a lot of people who ride Harleys who are accountants and lawyers, and they kind of role play. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fine if you like to do that. But there's a certain dress code for the riders who are actually in actual gangs. And if you ride that style of motorcycle and cosplay, that type of thing, I would urge you to make yourself aware of where those people, the serious people, where they draw the line in terms of you cosplaying them too much, because they don't like it one little bit, and they're not very polite about it. And so if just cosplaying too close to an actual motorcycle, what do they call it? Club? Is it called the club? Can get you in serious trouble. Just imagine what actual gang members, who by the way, they consider themselves it's a lot of things. It's a family. It's kind of a corporation. It's an enterprise. It's a club. It's a tribe. And you're pretending that you qualify to be one of them. Well, I can't even imagine what their punishment for their version of stolen valor is when you're just a punk. It should be televised as an abject lesson to all the other young black men with a bad attitude who might be tempted to stab an innocent boy in the heart. $5 from T. Jernez. Thanks for tweeting updates while you were at 35,000 feet. Yeah, I will say, this is the first time I've been on a flight that had Starlink instead of the BS Wi-Fi they normally have. It was amazing. It was really good. And it was free. They didn't charge me for it. The real Justin, $5. Texas prisons have a lot of AB. I don't know what AB is. Would be surprised if he lasts a week with how it's been racialized on his behalf. Oh, Aryan Brotherhood, I bet, right? That's why I'm sure YouTube would not allow you to write that out. That must be Aryan Brotherhood. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's what the black gangs are going to treat him like a hero. He's just a punk. Christopher Burwell gifted 5 the Branca Show memberships. Thank you so much, my friend. It's very generous of you. I really appreciate that. Texas sister, there's no air conditioning in the Huntsville prison. Is that true? Sorry, you're wrong, though, about public defender. He did ask, but did not get one. All right, I'm seeing mixed reporting there. I know one of his attorneys for sure is a private attorney. But states handle the whole public defender thing very differently. Where I've practiced in Massachusetts, we had a state funded, dedicated. They hired lawyers to be, permanent public defenders. Those were the public defenders. That's how it works in Colorado. That's how it works in a lot of states. But in other states, they don't actually set up a public defender's office. They just set aside money, and then they hire private attorneys, usually young, inexperienced attorneys, and they pay them to represent the indigent. But there's no formal public defender organization. It's just whatever lawyers want to take on that work on an ad hoc basis. I'm not sure how they do it in Texas. But I had heard that one of his lawyers was a private lawyer. So I guess he's getting paid one way or the other. No air conditioning. So when I go to Texas in the winter, it's like in the 70s, sometimes the high 70s. It's got to be 100, 110 degrees in the summer, right? You get down into hill country. It must be. I would think. I don't know. I've never been brave enough to ride a motorcycle down there in the summer. $5. Court TV had a few panels full of Karmelo fans talking about the travesty of this young man who had his life ahead of him. Yeah, isn't that weird? I wonder if there's another young man who had his life ahead of him. It's not just being derailed. His heart was cut out of him. When they were doing the sentencing evidence and they put Karmelo's mother up there, do this for me, for my own self-centered interests. He's my oldest son. He's my firstborn. Do it for me. Give him a break. You know what the prosecution should have done? They should have had a prosthetic, a facsimile, maybe the real thing. Put Austin Metcalf's slashed heart up there on that rail before the witness stand. That's your evidence. That's who's giving testimony for Austin Metcalf. Put that HARD up there and just look at it for 90 solid seconds. And then say, no further questions, Your Honor. And walk away with it. That's what the jury, considering sentences, should have seen the last thing they saw before they walked in to sentence. Jacob Reed, $5. Do you think the jury knew that 35 years might become 18 years? Are they told about parole? I don't know. Honestly, I just don't know if that's made transparent to them. Normally, juries have no role in sentencing at all. Texas is kind of an outlier. I think West Virginia also does jury sentencing. There's only not even a handful of states that do that, but Texas is one. But normally, the jury only decides guilt, and they have no idea. They're not supposed to have any idea what the sentence could be or how it could be mitigated. They just don't know. Mary Martinez reported Karmelo's parents did not return to the courtroom for sentencing. Left him in there alone. Selfish. He was crying for himself. Yeah, he's crying for himself. Not for Austin. Not for the Metcalfs. The grift is over. He's not a reliable supply of give, send, go money for his parents anymore. There's no more Escalades. There's no more new houses coming from Karmelo Anthony. He's just dead weight now. You cut him loose. You put into your relationship with that son of yours the same thing he put into Austin Metcalf's heart. You stick it with a blade and you cut it open. It's over. Sean Connolly, $5. The people they had and allowed to be around them be an indicator of how he was raised. He felt disrespected by a white person, then that's all it took. And by the way, it could have been any white person. There's nothing Austin Metcalf that did that was egregious or unreasonable under the circumstances. Anybody who checked this little demon's poor behavior would have gotten that knife. It could have been a little girl behind the counter at a McDonald's or through the drive-through window. It could have been anybody. Anybody who scratched this guy's pride, bumped that chip, that racial chip on his shoulder, he would have had that knife ready. And he would have slain them. He just got caught the first time when he slew Austin Metcalf. All right, let's take a look. So here's the poll. Let's see. How do I show the poll? End poll? Is there a way for me to show it? I lost it. It was like 70% inadequate. You see it when I close it. All right. I don't see it. Did I screw it up? Okay. Sorry, folks. I just don't know. Gnome of Gnomes. Get your children in martial arts. People never get over a murder. Listen, my understanding was Austin Metcalf was studying BJJ, but he wasn't getting into a fight. That's the point. He wasn't looking to get into a fight. He was just looking to touch this guy's shoulder, to encourage him to leave the tent, safely leave the tent. He wasn't looking to attack Karmelo Anthony. What were they demanding of Karmelo Anthony? Just go. Go. This is not your space. They were not trapping him to beat him, to get in a fight with him. Just go. So Austin Metcalf probably had some fighting skills, but he didn't know he was in a fight. Only Karmelo Anthony, the little demon with the knife in his hand, knew that Austin Metcalf was in a fight for his life, and he killed him for it. Build with Mooney, $5. Andrew, I worked for the Department of Corrections, California, taught use of force for 26 years. This is disgusting. He only got 35 years. Love your take. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Have you seen the meme they were passing around, his supporters, Karmelo Anthony, of him dressed like Superman? I wanted Karmelo Anthony to get infinity years in, what do they call that? The parallel zone? What was the zone? What was the zone that Superman enemies were banned too. The Phantom Zone. The Phantom Zone. That's what I wanted for the Superman-dressed Carmelo Anthony. Shiloh. How you doing, Shiloh? $20. So what are your thoughts about Jacob Blake's father being the one who was throwing around the cracker comments? I was stunned he was there. Oh, was that Jacob? I'm stunned he was there. Blake's former stepbrother made a video on Jacob Blake Sr. That dude is evil. All these people are evil. That's why they're there. These are not normal, productive people. Again, if you go on X, you'll find plenty of black people who are normal people. Normal people. Fathers, mothers, productive members of society. And they see this for the murder it is. They feel burdened by having to be associated by skin color with these little shitheads. I imagine it is a burden. But these monsters are out there. The shitheads are real. These 85 IQ morons and liars. Jerome, member for 10 months. He'll have a rude awakening when he gets to TDC, Texas Department of Corrections, in the middle of August. No AC, and he will go to the hardest gladiator camp unit 2. I guess he'll be seeing how tough he really is when he's not the only person in the room with a knife in his hand. Burner popcorn account, $10. Why do you think Karmelo didn't testify? Any speculation he might have a previous violent history the defense didn't want exposed? Yeah, that is my speculation. He has bad things that would be exposed if he had taken the witness stand. Listen, they had to put him on the witness stand. That's why we had that 2.5-hour delay before the defense rested. They knew they were sunk. It was done. Like I said in Tim Pool last night, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is this case for Carmelo Anthony? It's 100 bad. He might not. That judge could reasonably have denied Carmelo Anthony a self-defense jury instruction entirely. That's how far removed his conduct was from lawful self-defense. Now, the judge didn't do that. They're disinclined to do that. It's the only defense he has. So if you took it away, basically the judge would be convicting Carmelo Anthony. He wanted it to go to the jury. But they had nothing. They were underwater on self-defense. Underwater. They had to put Carmelo Anthony on the stand. Think of what he could have said. I'm so sorry. I panicked. I realize the tragedy of it now. I think every day about how Hunter and Austin's parents don't have him anymore. I can't believe I did something so stupid. I extracted such a high cost from that family for no good reason. But I see what I did was wrong. It'll never happen. That bullshit. They could not give him the opportunity to do that because it would not have worked. Either he would have fucked it up or it would have opened the door to the prosecution introducing all kinds of evidence, including character evidence. Once you're on the witness stand, you're just a witness. Your credibility, things you've done wrong in the past, all of that is now come on the table. You lose all those protections you have as a defendant, exercising their right to be silent. Now you're a witness. The jury gets to assess your credibility in the totality of the circumstances. They couldn't risk it. That's how bad this little demon is. He's so bad. He's such a shithead that his defense lawyers could not risk putting him on the stand even to save his life from decades in prison. Maybe someday we'll discover what all that was. EPMJ, $5 from Mike. Hey, Mike, they're always good at bullying unarmed innocents. None will be found in prison. No unarmed innocents. Thank you for being here for us. It's my honor, my friend. It's my honor. Sean Connolly, $2. They should have pled. They thought differently. I keep hearing this. You don't get to just take a plea. The plea has to be offered to you. I don't know that the state ever offered him a plea. By the way, one thing I wonder about, if he were offered a plea, saying 5 years manslaughter, 10 years manslaughter, right? He's looking at life, and the facts are bad for him. You'd have to think about that pretty hard. But he's still, right, a minor living in his parents' home. Is it in his parents' interests for him to take a quick plea deal? No. His parents are raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for his legal defense. If he takes a plea deal, the game's all over. I wonder to what extent it would be fair to say that his parents literally sacrificed him like a sheep to the gods so they could get that money, keep that money flowing in. Imagine that. I'd say that's too horrible to imagine, except, well, look at their son. Is their son not a reflection of them? And their son's a little demon. Stogies and boomsticks, $5. I think the jury sentence was the right choice for Karmelo. I think the 35 years was a compromise due to his age. I would have advocated for the max. I'm sure it was a compromise. Yep. Especially the women would have been pushing for, something other than life. We can save him. I can fix him. 2A Speedy, member for 4 months. You blocked me on X. I think you misread my joke. Handle speed scandal. All right, that's possible. I'm pretty aggressive with the ban hammer on X, but also when I'm told that I might have made a mistake, I'm quick to unblock. Let me see if I can find you, my friend. Sometimes I'm dealing with scores of people an hour, and I make a poor call. Let's see. Yeah, unblocked. All right, dude, you're unblocked. Love the show. Watching since Rittenhouse. I miss your post. You're back up. Brian Rock, $5. Been following you since the Pope heyday. My buddy Nick Ricada. I want to see Nick in a couple weeks. We're going to be in. Nick and I will be in Washington D.C. together. We were both invited to an administration event. I know, it's crazy. We're going to have a good time. I love your content. Always look forward to these streams. Cheers, brother. Oh, thank you, Brian. I really appreciate it. Justin P. 2653 Are the mugs dishwasher safe? My housekeeper was deported. Thanks, Trump. I believe they are. I just got my first mug myself. I haven't even put it through the dishwasher. But all my other mugs, like these mugs over my shoulder, they're from the same company. They've all proven dishwasher safe. So it should be fine. That would be my expectation. 2A Speedy, again, $10. Here's some extra to encourage unblocking me. I did it already. I missed the post. Super happy about the verdict, though. Would be happier with 99. Me too, my friend. You are unblocked if you're still here. You don't have to keep sending me super chats. Solid 5356, $2. This case is the exception I was talking about. Sorry, I missed the context. $10. Profanity tax. No tie branca is the best branca. Alexander Victor, $10. It's getting to the point of Lex Talionis. UCC out, common law out, constitutionality out. DEI has eroded every font of law except the sword. The white race is waking up. God help us all. I think there's a lot of people who should hope it doesn't come to that. Because when the white race wakes up, it doesn't result in a series of muggings and home invasions. Entire societies are changed in short order. What's that Rudyard Kipling poem? The Awakening of the Saxon, is that it? I'm going to look it up. The Wrath of the Awakened Saxon. Officially titled The Beginning. Let's see if I can find the whole poem. Is it only 1, 2, 3? Is it only 5 verses? Yeah, I think it is. You want to read it? Should I do a poll? Tell me in the chat. I don't normally read poetry. I'm afraid to do another poll because I think I screwed up that last one. Here, I'll do another poll. Should Andrew read Kipling's Wrath of the Awakened Saxon? Yes or no? Let me see if I can make this work this time. Is it up? Do you guys see it? Oh, I don't know why I don't see it on my screen. You guys must be seeing it, though, because I can tell you're voting. Oh, it's not on the screen. It would be at the top of the window. %93%, yes. 93%, yes. I'm going to let it run a little bit. Oh, it dropped a couple points. 91%. I have some anti-fans. Stephen, $5. Will they keep the evidence under wrap until the appeals process is exhausted? I mean, normally they don't. But normally they don't lock things down as tight as this judge did either. So I hope they make the evidence, like the video, available. They normally don't keep the evidence locked down because you don't know if an appeal's ever coming. I mean, what are the grounds for an appeal? I'm not sure I see them. Now, I may not see them because I wasn't able to watch the trial, so I can't tell like when the defense objected. But the journalist covering the case did not note a lot of objections. And if you don't object, generally you haven't preserved the issue for appeal. I mean, there are exceptions. There are some exceptions that go to such a core constitutional right. It doesn't necessarily need to be preserved. There's always the ubiquitous ineffective assistance of counsel that obviously doesn't need to be preserved by objection by your lawyer. You're claiming he's incompetent, so that wouldn't make any sense. But, you know, everybody claims, and everyone who loses gets convicted claims ineffective assistance, but they almost never win. I mean, there's cases where the lawyers fell asleep in court while testimony was happening. It still wasn't ineffective. So it's a very difficult burden to overcome. CBL, $5. Thank you for all you do. Anything less than 50 years should mean he gets settled if he gets out in the foreman's or judge's neighborhood. Oh, settled in the foreman or judge's neighborhood, would solve this. That's the thing with liberals, right? With the weak-willed, they're able to position themselves so they don't have to pay the consequences for this kind of thing. 99 problems. I've been all over the internet watching all different kinds of channels. The theme now, they're claiming a crime of passion. What the F is that now? So what a crime of passion is it would mitigate murder to manslaughter. So murder is a cold-blooded killing. But if it's done under adequate provocation, Texas uses the phrase sudden passion, it's a hot-blooded killing. And we tend to treat those like manslaughter instead of murder. The classic example is a guy comes home, finds his wife in bed with another man and kills them both. It's an unlawful killing. He's got to go to prison. But he did it under sudden passion, adequate provocation. So instead of murder, it'll be a manslaughter. Or if two guys are in a fight, they're in a fist fight, they're going back and forth, one of them pulls out a knife because he's losing and stabs the other guy. That's an unlawful killing, but the fight was the sudden passion, the adequate provocation. We don't call it murder, we call it manslaughter. It's, roughly half the sentence. So when they say crime of passion, that's what they mean. And that's just them advocating for a manslaughter conviction and sentence instead of a murder conviction and sentence. Antonio, 9 months, a member for 9 months. Pretty sure if you pretend to be in a gang, you are a liability to that gang. And they're expected to straighten you out. If they don't, it makes them look bad. I mean, just think about it. If you're running a gang, right? The people you have in your gang, they need to be tough and vicious and scary, right? You can't have some little punk-ass bitch like Karmelo, Anthony out there pretending to be one of your guys. It's ridiculous. No, of course you'd be super pissed. Of course you would be super pissed about it. Thank you so much, my friend, for that 9 months of support. All right, let me hit this poem. Let's see, what's the voting? Down to 89%. If I wait long enough, I won't have to read it. I'm going to read a couple more super chats first then. Matthew Maddox, $10. I served on a jury trial for a murder case in Texas in 2022. I had a feeling they were going to the middle on sentencing, but I'm surprised they went light. During sentencing, we went to the middle. Well, I mean, it's kind of the middle, right? We say 99 years or life, but if they had sentenced him to 70 years, right? He's 20 now, that would be 90, right? So half of 70 is 35, which is what they sentenced him to. And I don't know that they know about all the parole stuff. Jeff is not 2826, 10 California dollars, not yet. 10 Canadian. Black gangs might not like the government awareness from his actions. I don't think they think about it in those terms. I think it's their kind of internal organization issues that they would be most concerned about. Jensen, $10. JD DeLay is under the impression that black gangs are going to throw him to the wolves They even have more morals than Karmelo. Well, I mean, what is morals, right? Morals in a pragmatic sense, not an ephemeral religious sense, but in a moral sense, moral decisions are decisions that are good for your tribe, that sustain the interests of your tribe, the genetic energy of your tribe. It's decisions that are good for yourself, your family, your neighborhood, your community, your tribe, your nation, fosters their success. That's why things like being a drug addict are immoral. It's not because drug addicts are icky. It's because that person's no longer a productive member, a contributor to the interest of the tribe. Well, from a gang's perspective, a crime gang's perspective, a moral issue is this person's conduct conducive to our interests? And having fake, weak-ass gang members out there pretending to be you is not. The moral thing to do would be to take care of that problem. So they don't do that anymore. From the interest of the criminal gang. I'm not advocating criminal violence, folks. Johnny Rivers, $5. Imagine defending a murderer simply because they look like you. I just cannot fathom reducing myself or my fellow man like that. Well, white people aren't tribal like that. And maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's a cause of our problems. Pooping while standing, $5. What's sickening is women will fawn all over him. Much like Luigi Mangione or even Charles Manson, if Tyler Robinson wasn't gay, they'd covered him. Though some of them probably still do cover Tyler Robinson. Women think they can fix anybody. If they're hot for the dude, his defects don't matter. Gito 463, $10. The woman running for public defender in Lincoln, Nebraska was sending out guidelines on how to avoid ICE. I kept a copy so it can't be denied. Yeah, they tend to be political radicals on the left. Kim Possible, how you doing, Kim? Gifted. My older kids used to love that show. They used to love your show, Kim Possible, that cartoon. Gifted the Andrew Branca Show, one membership out there. Thank you very much. Very generous of you. Chandra, $24.56, $10. I don't know how much you know about Huntsville Prison. Not much. But Karmelo hasn't escaped the death penalty quite yet. The Theom Gawerty, $5. If the mother was so concerned about a relationship with the son, perhaps there's grounds for pursuing her for negligence in raising him. What would you do? I mean, the alarming thing is she has two younger sons. Why would they turn out any differently than this one, than this little demon? Victoria Butte, member for 4 months. So glad I joined. I'm so glad you joined too. You're the greatest, Andrew. Well, thank you. That's super kind of you. I appreciate that. Johns, 9652, $5. Been hearing a lot about the coach. Told Austin to step up, be a leader. Liability involved there. Asking him to do too much. No, I don't think so. The coach didn't have any reason to expect this little demon was going to kill him. That's not on the coach. Unbelievable. Karmelo. No, that's how you develop men. You put them in positions. You put boys in positions of leadership, right? Stand up. Teach them to be conscientious, dedicated, focused. Assume responsibilities, especially for other younger people around them. That's absolutely, I mean, it's a necessity to civilization. Jeff is not 2826. He wasn't racist. Be racist, see step 1, and survive. We aren't widgets. Okay. I'm not sure if I got that. TJ Nays, $10. You may have just been giving a sentence of 35 years behind bars. You can consider yourself lucky because I've been sentenced to a lifetime without my son, Austin Metcalf's mother. Did she say that? Or we're just imputing that? I don't know what the deal is with Austin's parents. There seems to be a certain lack of fire in their belly over the death of their son, from my perspective. Pamela Marcy, new member. Well, welcome, Pamela. Welcome to the family. Gary 7, member for 5 months. Sorry, Andy, but I'm saving up to buy 4 of the $250 bills from the U.S. Mint as legal tender. Yeah, I'm going to buy, if this note becomes real, I'm buying a bunch of them. Let me put the little thing back up. I forgot I had taken it down. Get your mugs in time for Father's Day, folks. Don't wait until the last minute. They take about a week to get to you. Jeff, I'm hoping they offer the bills as uncut sheets. Imagine the value of those uncut sheets as collector's items in 10 years or 20 years. Jeff is not. $5 Canadian. Black isn't a race. It's what they did to us with white. Okay? Gito 463, $5. They weren't just underwater. They were in the Mariana Trench. They were in the Mariana Trench. Sheena Ray, do you think Metcalf's family will sue Karmelo's family for wrongful death? I don't think they will. No. First of all, even if there was money that could be secured, I don't think they would do it. I don't think they have that kind of fire over their son's death. I think they're heartbroken over it, but I don't think they're angry enough. And even if they weren't angry enough, I don't know that the Anthonys have anything to take. I rather suspect that they don't. A 99-cent super sticker. Thank you very much. Bald Eagle, $5. Sean, potentially criminal, thinks the attorney couldn't control Karmelo and were forced to go to trial because he wouldn't settle for a plea. Well, Karmelo wouldn't settle? Or his parents wouldn't settle? Or the combination? I mean, Karmelo's going to be highly influenced by his parents, right? If his parents are telling him, don't worry about it, son, you'll be fine. You'll be acquitted. Don't worry about it. Meanwhile, we're raising lots of money. Oh, we'll buy you a new car. Just go. Don't take the plea. If you take the plea, the party ends. And by the way, they may have had reason to believe that was true. Now, this was not an all-white jury, but there were no black people on the jury. You think if there was a black person on the jury, this ever would have arrived at a conviction, or would that black person just have held out forever? Ended up in a hung jury. So the parents might have had good reason to believe that they were correct, and if they told their son, don't take a plea, we'll go to trial and we'll win there. Florida Magaman, $2. I can hear Bubba whistling now. Daddy's home. Daddy's home. $5 from D6XK. Given the evidence, I'm shocked the defense didn't ask him to throw himself upon the mercy of the court. What else defense was there? Well, it's not really a thing. He was basically, doing that by not taking the witness stand. They had to know the probability of conviction was overwhelming, certainly 100% on the legal merits. And what did this kid do to gain any sympathy in this trial? I didn't see any evidence of that. Jensen Z, $5, still blocked on X. Wish I wasn't, but I must have really upset you. Still support you on YouTube. What's your handle? What's your handle on X? I'll take a look. Is it your handle here? Jensen Z. Let me see if I can find it. I'm not seeing it. No. So it's not that, whatever it is. So go, folks, if you think if you're blocked on X by me and you'd like me to unblock you, it's very easy to do. Just ask me, provide me with your handle. Sometimes I'm getting in these environments where I'm blocking people like a machine gun. So, but it's I block quick, but I'll unblock quick as well. Mr. Nicely, $2 Canadian. Not retarded Jason, long-time listener, first-time caller. Not retarded Jason, $20. I'm a little behind, but to answer your question about the conversation white parents have with their kids, I tell my 3 sons to avoid the doctors and engineers from the GHETTO. I guess YouTube made you spell it out that way. I keep, member for 7 months, Nicholas M. I keep hearing that the possible black jurors were dismissed because of their inability to be unbiased. Any truth to this? Well, it's true if they meant it. They said it. They said they cannot be unbiased and impartial. That's what they told the court. That's why they were dismissed. Gito 463, $20. I'm also blocked on X. Oh, wait, I don't have X. Never mind. Perma Seal Finishing, $10. I like this version. No tie angry Branca. I can't do it very often. It's too energy intensive. Roger Wood, $5. Perhaps erroneously attributed to Alexander Solzhenitsyn. The men who just wanted to be left alone. Yeah. You bother the men who want to be left alone, and things sometimes don't work out too well for you. I think I will look at that poem from Kipling. It's always a good day to read Kipling. Are you kidding me right now? $5. He has to behave in prison to be eligible for parole. Do we really think that's going to happen? Charles the Hammer, $5. Self-defense doesn't work well with a manslaughter charge for all those Karmelo Anthony supporters. Kate Juris, $5. 17 years for murder of an extremely valuable life, a priceless young man to his parents, his twin, and his country. Yeah, I mean, whether he gets out at 17 would be up to the parole board, right? They don't have to say yes. You're not just automatically kicked loose. And you have to have kept your nose clean. If he manages to screw it up, it is the 35 years. $10. After what I've seen with our weaponized justice system, I'm incredibly cynical towards this sentencing. This POS will get pardoned after the next stolen election. Well, it would have to be the Texas governor to do it. Stay safe on that bike, Andrew. I always strive to stay safe. $100. Holy cow. Kelly Hananu? Is that how you pronounce that? First sentence. Don't worry about pronouncing my Hawaiian name, but love you, brother. Keep up the great work. It reminds me of that scene from the Shawshank Redemption. His judgment cometh, and that right soon. You know, I've never been to Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii or Alaska. Those are the two American states I've never been to. Never. I've traveled all over the country on my motorcycle, but Alaska is a long trip on a motorcycle, and Hawaii is especially difficult to ride a motorcycle there. But one of these days, I strive to get to Hawaii. My Avitech, $25. I want one of those huge mugs. He's talking about this mug. Scan the QR code. The link is the pinned comment. For my and 47's birthday on Sunday. The phone won't read QR. Is it on an LOSD site? It's the linked, right? Is it still the linked comment? The pin, did I not pin it? No, it should be pinned. I'm not seeing it pinned, but it should be pinned. Can you guys tell me if it's did I screw it up? Let me see. Let me grab it again. I'll put it in the chat again right now. Trump, $250 note. Whoops. $250 note mug shot mug. Post it. Replace pinned message. Okay. I need a producer. I need a producer. This is not my skill stack. And I'll put it in the Xstream too. It won't read the QR code. It works for me. The QR code worked on my iPhone. So I don't know what to tell you. Maybe expand it on your screen. Maybe that's the issue. Let's see. Is it on the Law Self-Defense site? It's not on the Law Self-Defense site. Or could you post it? It should be the pinned comment, folks. Thank you for the Karmelo coverage. Question, how long till the POS is eligible for parole? So, I think it's 17 and a half years, half of the 35. Not long enough, in my opinion. I agree. Nothing would be long enough. Leyland RX, $5. I'm just here to mellow out, to Karmelo out. So much for mellow. I wonder what his prison's name will be. I think his prison name will rhyme with the word itch. 45 ACP mom, $5. Dad didn't speak at the presser, in court, and left sentencing. Karmelo is a coward because he was raised by a coward. It's got that vibe, doesn't it? Mark, $5. Australian, is that what that is? $5. To Not Kill a Mockingbird. My new book titled, Mocking is a Double Entendre. Kate Juris, $10. It helps to imagine that he's going to be in Huntsville, an unair-conditioned hell on earth, in which the interior temperature has been measured at 116 degrees. But he'll be in a bikini, so it's fine. Dark Ginger, $5. I'm an hour and 10 minutes behind, but we call Carmela Anthony's parents grift winning the ghetto lottery. YouTube doesn't like the word ghetto, apparently. Okay. It's a very historical term. JD Duty, new member. Welcome to the family, my friend. Glad to see you here. Elena Noble, $5. Is Carmelo using a public offender as his attorney? That would be a mistake. Now, I have to question you there, challenge you there. So I've worked with a lot of public defenders. I used to work at a public defender's office before I was a lawyer, before I went to law school. I was an investigator for the Broome County Public Defender's Office in New York, upstate New York. And we had world-class lawyers there. I've met a lot of public defenders who are some of the best lawyers I've ever worked with, I've ever met. And if I knew a young lawyer and he wanted to get a lot of trial experience really quickly, I would tell him to be a public defender for a couple of years, because they throw you right into court. You go work for a firm, it could be years before you ever get any real litigation experience. Now, it's also true that public defenders are very often overworked. It's often true that, a lot of people are taking that work who don't have a lot of experience, so you do have to be careful. But for a murder charge, so when I worked in the public defender's office as an investigator, we had dedicated public defenders for murder cases, and they were the most skilled, capable public defenders in the office. We didn't just assign those to someone who just graduated law school. So I think it's a mistake to presume that because an attorney is a public defender that they're subpar. That's not been my experience. Jensen Z, $2. Oh, there's the handle. All right, I'll look for it. I'll look for it right now. JZ GRL. Am I doing it wrong? JSZ. Dude, I typed it in. I typed it in just like that. Capital JZ underscore JSZ GR1. I found it. All right, my friend, you are unblocked. Unblocked Onyx. There you go. Lug Not Larry, $5. I moved to a white town in Montana in 1993. Watching current black culture reinforces my decision every day. There are people who say that the entire American real estate market can be explained by the desperate desire of first world civilized peoples to distance themselves from third world savages. I don't know what the counter argument to that is. Amandine, $5.12, $5. Are you going to cover the upcoming SCOTUS ruling regarding whether mail-in ballots can be counted after Election Day? Yeah, if it comes out. When it comes out, I'll cover it. I covered the oral arguments for it, so I'll certainly cover the decision for sure. Bomb Chest, $5. Imagine being that poor court employee. And what they were referring to just now is the notion that we're supposed to have, the Constitution calls for an election day, not election weeks or election months. And it's commonly known for people who investigate election fraud around the world, the longer the election window, the greater the opportunity for fraud. You're undermining the legitimacy of your election. So the best way to do it is in a single day. That minimizes the prospects for fraud. Bombchus, $5. Imagine being that poor court employee that had to tell their boss, I couldn't find one single unbiased black person. The judge was right there during voir dire. Cajun Ranger, 75, who would be unbiased. Not even one black person who would be unbiased. Cajun Ranger, how you doing, man? $2. An uncut 16-note sheet would cost around $4,300. Yeah, right. I'll pick some up. Charles Ross, member for 11 months. Grab a cocktail for the true no-tie Branca experience. You guys can imbibe all you want. It's fine with me. Dark Ginger, $5. Maybe Carmelo will turn into Morgan Freeman's character from the Shawshank Redemption. I'm joking. We all know he's going to join a prison gang as the girl, as the gang bicycle, as they say. Johnny Quest, $5. Thanks, Branka. I really enjoy your content. Well, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. T-Rex Travels, $10. I still don't understand why the people around the courthouse think he didn't do nothing. Should young black men just get away with murder? Is it a Kyle Rittenhouse media lying problem? So you have a couple things going on. One is you have just very stupid people. They may believe that, like, he's allowed to stab someone for disrespecting him. There's that group of people. Then there's a group of people who don't think that's true, but want that to be the perception. They want it to be perceived that they can just kill white people at their leisure, even though they know that there'll be a trial and maybe you get convicted, but they would want that to be the SOP for how our civilization is run. Then you have people who are just grifters of all this. They know if they can energize the black community, they can earn political capital, raise their profile, secure money from people. So that they're just grifting the whole thing. There's different camps for whom this is all a positive experience, all this race grifting. Scorpid Black Dragon, $5. I would not be surprised about the lack of public emotion as the Metcalf family are deeply devoted Christians compared to Erica Kirk's behavior. I don't know. Would you say the Crusaders were deeply devoted Christians? But they didn't have weak livers. MTL for life, $10. I can see you on a long haul Sea-Doo going to Hawaii. Read Karmelo transferred to private defense. He read Karmelo transferred to private defense. I've heard that too. I didn't look that closely at the lawyers, to tell you the truth, because I wasn't watching their performance in court. I will say my daughters are very interested in getting a Ski-Doo watercraft for the new house, because we'll have a boat slip and the lake is across the street from the house. So they very much want a Sea-Doo, a Sea-Doo, right? That's what it would be called. I've never had one. I've never had a boat either, but I guess I'm going to have to buy one. Texas Sister, $5. Austin's dad unloaded on Karmelo. Did he? When? Today? I just remember that first time he came out in public and he was like, these are all good boys and we have to have forgiveness in our heart. I just don't think I would feel that way if someone had killed one of my children for no good reason. Jonathan, member for 9 months. Thanks for that support, man. Have you heard Bader and Felon and Dominique Alexander of the Next Generation Action Network and Anthony family spokesman comment after the verdict yet? I haven't taken any time to watch that loser's comments. It was a busy day for me. I was flying all day. My arms are tired. Raymond Huffman, $2. Can't say Jew with any other info. Is that right? How funny. My Greno Farm D, $10. Carmelo's family does have that pretty large GoFundMe account. Could they litigate for that? But haven't they spent that money? I thought they bought a house and an Escalade. Gnome of Gnomes. I mean, if there's money to be taken, I would sue for it. Sure, even if I didn't need the money, I would sue it just to take it from them. Gnome of Gnomes, $5. Could the jury have also awarded some restitution to the Metcalf family in the criminal trial? I don't know if the jury can do that. Restitution can happen in criminal cases, but Texas is weird that it has the jury involved in sentencing at all. Normally, a judge is sentencing, and a judge can sentence you to time, can fine you, and can order restitution. But I'm not sure how that works in Texas. We'd have to ask a Texas lawyer. Kim Possible, $2. My maiden name is Saxon. Hell yes. Wake the Saxon. I'll get to that word. I'm catching up on the super chats finally. Addy Laddie, $20. Catching up, just started. Sentence too low, but better than expected. Okay. Queen, $2. Grew up in Binghamton, small world. Yeah, that's where I went to college. It was called, I don't know what they call it now, SUNY, State University of New York, Binghamton. It was considered, I'm not trying to brag, it was considered one of the better state university schools, kind of a public Cornell. Cornell was not far away in Ithaca. I grew up in New York, so we called Binghamton upstate. If you live in Binghamton, there's a lot more upstate to go. But it was great. I had a good experience there. And while I was there, I started working for the public defender's office as an investigator. Somewhere, I still have my ID around here. I have a full head of hair and everything. It's amazing. Mostrat, 50 Mexican. So $2. He sent me, what, $3 now? What's up, my Branca? Is it self-defense if a 60-year-old drunk pushes away from the door a delivery driver who's not leaving and got instructions to insist on delivery? I don't know. You'd have to retain me and I can do a legal analysis on your case. Is that what happened? And by the way, I just do American law. I don't do Mexican law. I don't know if they bother with self-defense in Mexico. There's a lot of desert, right? They just shoot you. Elena Noble, $5. That has been my experience with a PD. The PD would not look at my evidence, listen to my witnesses, or hear my own testimony. Only listen to the prosecutor. Yeah, we imagine the police department is out here to serve and protect, right? Because that's what they say, right? It's on all their cars and stuff. But they're not your personal police agents. That's not how that works. They have a little narrow job that they do, and most of them are not interested in doing more than that. So yeah, that's not an uncommon experience. Brian, 27G, $5. Met you through CCW Safe. You're an important voice, and I'm a big fan. Well, thank you. CCW Safe, anybody doesn't know, that's a company that sells what's commonly called self-defense insurance. It's not really insurance, but that's what many people describe it as. And in effect, if you're involved in a self-defense shooting, you're compelled to defend yourself, your family, your property, and you're getting prosecuted, and you're a member of CCW Safe, they will cover your legal expenses and a bunch of other stuff too. And I'm a big fan of CCW Safe. There are a number of companies out there that offer this kind of service. They're the only ones I trust. CCW Safe. I'm personally a member, highest level membership with CCW Safe. If I get in trouble, I'm calling them. I'm calling them to cover my legal expenses and provide all the other services they cover. They're the only one I trust out of all the ones out there. If you'd like to know why I trust them, I have a little video, 3 minutes, I think it is, lawofselfdefense.com/trust. If you've been thinking about this kind of coverage, or you're a member of some other organization like USCCA, I don't recommend those organizations because I recommend this one. So I would urge you to go take a look and see if maybe it's a better fit for you. Lawofselfdefense.com/trust, lawofselfdefense.com/trust. And I explain why I trust CCW Safe, why I'm a member. I do a lot of partnering with them. I produce content for them on use of force law. I think I'm going to see them in just a few weeks when I do the move out east to Knoxville. I'll stop in Oklahoma City, hang out with those guys for a day or two. I really like them. I think they're a great group of people. Donut Guard, $10. Jumpsuit Pablo, ex-con YouTuber, doesn't think Karmelo will last a year because he ratted on himself. If he rats on himself, he'll rat on anybody. Showed videos of gangs saying he should check his paperwork. How did he rat on himself? I'm not sure I know what that means. But I will defer to an actual ex-con on what convict life is like. I always joke, I tell people, hey, I've been in a lot of jails and prisons. But of course, as an attorney. Jot If Texas, $20. Love no type Branca. You tell it like it is. I'm always honest with all of you in my community. I can promise you that. I might make mistakes. And if I make a mistake, I'll do my best to correct and let you know where I screwed up. But I promise you, I'm always striving to tell you the truth as I best understand it. John's, $5. There's some lady trying to row sail to Hawaii. Left California like 2-3 weeks ago. Expected to take 80 days. Well, I wish her luck. Jonah Finn, $5. I suspect Mr. Alexander has a Svengali hold on Karmelo's family. That's this family advisor dude, dirtbag. I like to Showtime 30 minutes, and this leads into Good Logic or Rikaida shows. Oh, I just did this because the sentence was coming out. This is not going to be. I'm missing dinner right now with my family, so this is not going to be my normal Showtime. Noon Eastern time for that. Cell Brown 7990, member for 7 months. Please pray for Austin Metcalf's twin brother who witnesses horror. I have twin sons, and I know how close twins are. You may as well have taken one of that kid's arms, one of Hunter's arms. That's how he's going to live the rest of his life, an incomplete human being. Forever scarred. Kim Possible, $2. I'm from Long Island, Suffolk County. I grew up in Suffolk County before I went to Binghamton. I went to Half Hollow Hills West in Dix Hills. That was my high school. Grew up in Dix Hills. It's not very deep into Suffolk County. It's just over the border from Nassau County, but it was in Suffolk County. Well, nice to meet you, Kim Paz. I've seen you before here. We've talked before, I'm sure. Elena Noble, $2. PD. Oh, PD is a public defender. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Michelle Prudhomme, member for 6 months. Please read the Kipling poetry. We need some uplifting poetry to uplift our people. I will read it. I'm down to the last super chat. Don't forget what USCCA did to Kayla Giles. Yeah, so the reason I recommend, Cajun Ranger, thank you, man. The reason I recommend CCW Safe for this kind of self-defense insurance, their biggest competitor is a company called USCCA, United States Concealed Carry Association, I think it stands for. And I've just seen several cases in which they had members who were involved in use of force events, and they just refused to cover their members like they promised. Just left them out to hang. And so I don't trust USCCA. I've never seen CCW Safe do that. That's why I trust CCW Safe, amongst other reasons. So if you're a member of USCCA, I don't tell people what to do, but I would urge you to go to this link and see what I have to say about maybe CCW Safe is a better fit for you. Maybe it is. If it's not, stay with USCCA. Again, I don't tell people what to do. You have to make the best decision for you. All right, I'm going to read that Kipling poem, but that means I'm taking off the QR code for the Father's Day mug. So again, don't order at the last minute. You won't get it in time. It takes about a week to get to you. All right, so order ahead of time. Order more than one. Order one for every dad in your household. Scan that QR code. I just tried it. It worked for me on my iPhone. So there's no reason it should. If it's not working, maybe make your, the show bigger on your screen and see if that works. I also pinned it in the comment. It should be pinned in the comment. Kim Possible says, what? Islip Terrace here. I used to date a girl in Islip. I tell you one thing, when I was in high school and college, the girls coming out of Suffolk County, Long Island, woohoo, they were on fire. They were the hottest things around for a long ways. Beautiful women. I was a very fortunate young man to be growing up in Suffolk County when I was in high school and college. Those girls were awesome and very friendly. They were very friendly. Everything a young man could hope for. They were awesome. All right. Let me pull up the, let's take a look at X first and just make sure. I don't know if people might have been commenting there. There's a whole bunch of comments. I just want to, normally there aren't any. I don't bother looking, but there are a bunch today. Let me see what we have here. I'll just share the image. How about that? I'll do that. There's the mug. There's the mug. $250 Trump $250 note mugshot mug. So you can click on X. Marianne Reports is from the Globalist Daily Mail. Okay. Timely, but the Daily Mail does not like conservatives. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Especially USA conservatives. Marianne is okay, but beware, since she has to report with the bias of her employer. Yeah, I just had a handful of journalists that seemed to be reporting things that were credible to me. What else am I supposed to do? They're not streaming the trial, right? And Marianne's coverage seemed to me to be consistent with reality. Everybody's biased. The Blossoming. This is the stream to watch about the vicious murdering monster who only got 35 years for murdering Austin Metcalf. Carmelo Anthony got off way too light. It should have been life in prison. I think so too. Leah says, love you, Andrew. Well, I guess I love you too, Leah. One of my nieces is called Leah. Andy, this crime is not a crime. It's a declaration of a race war. How can white members of Western civilization unite to defend themselves properly? I got to be honest, my friends. I'm fully prepared to defend myself and my family. I'm kind of aging out of fighting a race war. Younger generations have to step up. Like people a generation younger than me need to step up. I'm glad to provide support and advice. And if I'm being attacked, I can't say I can be killed like anybody. But if you're going to try to treat me like that guy in the, was it Ireland? They were cutting his head off in the middle of the street. I'm not saying somebody can't cut my head off, but if they're going to be cutting my head off, they're going to be doing it with a lot of gunshot wounds. But the truth is, it's people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who need to step up and do this. Sylvia Sikov, I think, 35 years for Austin Metcalf's family. That's pathetic. Karmelo Anthony got a slap on the wrist. Live stream this. The people are watching. Yeah, I'm live streaming it right now. It says broadcast not available. Oh, I'm looking on my X page. I'm broadcasting, I think. Sorry, I don't know how. I can't fix X. Zzz says 35 is disappointingly short. I agree. B. Bailey, just not enough. C. Tug was voting on the poll. Powder Pete says sentence was light. J. Dangles, great stream. Thank you, my friend. Poll voting. What's the spam? Lisa says, how are you getting this information when the news media is waiting for the sentencing? Well, I had a number of news media outlets I was watching, and the first one I picked up was Marianne, and she reported the sentence, and that's confirmed now from other sources. All right. We're almost 2 hours in, so now I'm going to get to the poem. Let's get to the poem. Rudyard Kipling. The formal name of this poem is The Beginnings. The more popular name it goes by is The Wrath of the Awakened Saxon, like Anglo-Saxon. So it's a tribe of peoples in Britain. And Rudyard Kipling writes, it was not part of their blood. It came to them very late, when long arrears, offenses, to make good, when the English began to hate. They were not easily moved. They were icy, willing to wait, till every count should be proved, ere the English began to hate. Their voices were even and low. Their eyes were level and straight. There was neither sign nor show, none of what called Dalton Etherly would call chimping out, when the English began to hate. It was not preached to the crowd. It was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the English began to hate. It was not suddenly bred. It will not swiftly abate, though the chill years ahead, when time shall count from the date that the English began to hate. I think there's more to it than this, right? It can't really just be those. You know what? I'm going to take a look. Because I remember verses that are not there. The wrath of the awakened Saxon. The Kipling Society. No, that's it. That's the whole thing. Okay. Well, I've read it. Another couple super chats. $5. I'm still surprised the jury came back with what they did. Maybe there's still some hope. Well, we know why that happened. It happened because there were not any black members on the jury. I'm not sure that's a good sign. I mean, it's good that it happened here, but it's bad that we know the outcome would have been different had there been black members on the jury. Silly Sailor, £5 Any plans to do anything on Stephen Dana? Can imagine him claiming it's self-defense, but trying to drown a kid in crutches seems like a stretch to me. I don't think I know who that is, but is that the really angry big guy who was trying to drown that kid on the edge of the lake? That's it, right? I don't know if I can show this on YouTube. Yeah, content is age restricted. I'm not old enough to watch the content. Look at this. This is what YouTube is telling me. Telling me. This is my account. Age restricted. Anyway, for those who don't know, there was a scene where there was a young man, I don't know, 16, 17, standing by a lake. Some old man who was very angry. Sometimes these boomers get mad. They think they own the whole lake. So they see you fishing, they lose their minds. And the old man basically jumps on the young kid and is pushing him into the water. And the first time I saw that video, I thought to myself, again, just like if you were trying to cut my head off, you might be able to drown me, but if you're pushing me under the water forcefully, you're going to be drowning me with a lot of gunshot wounds in your body, because that's a lethal force attack. I don't know. I'll see if I covered. If he claims self-defense, I guess I'll do a breakdown on it. A bald eagle, $5. Just learned Texas doesn't have listed numbers of years for a life sentence. However, being hit with one would have meant the minimum of 40 years before parole. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, every state does sentencing differently, so it's very hard to keep up with all the nuances. All right, folks, I think that's what I have for everybody. Unless you have more questions for me. Man, we went through a lot of super chats. a lot of you here. Holy cow. We've had over 40,000 views on this video. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, look at this. Gasps heard in court as teen killer. I guess that works both ways, right? He was a teen who killed a teen. Karmelo Anthony sentenced to 35 years in prison after being found guilty of murdering Austin Metcalf. Were they gasping because it was half of what it should have been? Half of what it should have been. Nick Sorter, independent journalist, says Karmelo Anthony supporters have lost their S here in the courthouse parking lot after the jury sentences Karmelo to 35 years. Oh, it's angry black ladies. Is this like a perennial meme? Shouldn't this just be a meme? The angry black lady meme. Should I play it? There's probably a lot of cursing. In my experience, when these angry black ladies get going. Here, let me rewind it. We'll see how bad it is. I must say, though, it's not really that many people. It looks like it's only 3 dozen people. Let's see.
35 years. If he was white, we wouldn't even be here today. It would have never came to court. It would have never been no handcuffs. We wouldn't be here today. But because somebody didn't know how to go get an adult like we all are taught, somebody's life was on the ground and somebody's in jail for something that should have been self-defense.
That shit crazy.
Self-defense. They said we're supposed to know how to act around white people. What?
Okay, I can only take so much. Mary Ann Martinez, where I got the first break on the sentencing. Karmelo Anthony is crying again with sniffles from the defense table. He's flanked by his lawyers who are comforting him. That's nice. Of course, if Karmelo was white and Austin was black, he would have walked away. Just like Austin Metcalf got to walk away? Like that, you mean? The Karmelo Anthony, let's see, not all white, my ass. Well, Asian, Hispanic, or Indian, Hispanic. You know, they're always white Hispanics when the black people want the Hispanics to be treated like white people. Indian, okay. And first of all, we don't know which of these were actually in the jury, right? Because there's 18 people here, so 6 were dismissed. I guess it's possible to have, is it possible to have 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can definitely get 11 white people, and maybe they seem ambiguous about one of them. I guess it could have been a white jury if everyone you dismissed was one of the ethnics, and they would have been randomly selected. Maybe it was an all white jury or close to it. So what? Oh no, black man holding a White Lives Matter sign is assaulted outside the Karmelo Anthony trial. Someone threatened to shoot him before. Well, you go for the clicks, you take the risks. Take the risks. Virgil Walker writes, I could have been Karmelo Anthony. Could you have? Why weren't you then? You think Barack Obama's going to come out? If I could have had a son, he would have looked a lot like Karmelo Anthony. That Marxist demon. Let's see. Oh, Belfast. Lots of riots in Belfast. James Woods. Convicted murderers can't enjoy financial gain from books or other scams. They should make this grift a mandatory refund since the situation as well. I guess take away the go send me go money. The great and powerful James Woods, the actor, who I can't get to follow me, right? He doesn't follow me. He's got 5.3 million followers. I follow him, but he won't follow me. The family is still raising money. For us real Texans, we lost 2 young men today, and Viva Fry, David. I was on a show recently. He says that you lost one young man because he got stabbed in the heart. You lost the other because he stabbed him in the heart. These are not the same things. Oh my God. Imagine getting a nose job instead of a lawyer for your son. I guess that's the mother, right? On the left, before the nose job, and on the right, after the nose job. If that's the same person, that's a different nose, for sure. Well, money well spent, I guess, huh? The general, Carmelo Anthony, sentenced to only 35 years. To all the wingnats, self-defense is applicable even without being touched. Yeah, you don't need to be touched. Sure. If you're threatened with deadly force harm, you can use deadly force in self-defense. You don't have to suffer a scratch. There doesn't have to be any contact. You're not required to be shot or stabbed before you can defend yourself against a deadly force attack. But there needs to be a deadly force attack, an imminent deadly force attack before you can use deadly force. This is the low IQ squad. I don't know if they just pretend not to be able to understand these simple rules, or they want to be deliberately blinded to them so they can be angry about it. It's hard to tell. I think a lot of them is just stupid. Robert Barnes. So some of the black prospective jurors were struck because they told the court they couldn't be unbiased. Another 3 were struck because they were teachers. Robert says many following the case didn't tell their audience about the 3 black female teachers who showed no bias, but were still struck by the prosecution without cause over defense objection. But that's not true, Robert. The prosecution said they had cause to strike them. Now, maybe not cause sufficient to have the judge strike them, so you don't have to use one of your strikes, but they had a race-neutral reason for striking them. They were teachers, and this case involves students and teachers and coaches. And they argued that whether they were black or white, they would have struck them as teachers. So it's a race-neutral reason, which makes it perfectly legitimate to strike them. I love this argument. The jury needs to understand that the prefrontal cortex is not fully developed at the age 25. I know a lot of women like to make this argument for their bad decisions in college. First, it's a completely ridiculous argument. America's gone to world wars with officers who are 19, 20, 21 years old, flew bombers, flew fighters, and their prefrontal cortex wasn't developed. And they say it in a way that it's like they're suggesting there is no prefrontal cortex, and then when you hit 25, it just inflates like a balloon, and suddenly it's there. Maybe it's not fully developed until 25. Maybe it's only 99.9% developed when you're 17 or 18 years old, but they don't want to talk that part about it. And by the way, that whole track meet was full of teenagers competing in the meet. And somehow every single one of them at every meet that school's ever had in its entire history managed not to stab anybody, despite them having a prefrontal cortex of roughly the same level of, purportedly, development as that of Karmelo Anthony. Only he stabbed somebody. I'm not sure the prefrontal cortex just needing a little more time to develop really explains that. There he is, sentenced to 25 years. All right, folks, well, we're right at 2 hours. It looks like I've exhausted all of you for super chats and questions. So I'm going to go ahead and start to wrap this gig up. Looks like I might have gotten a couple more comments on don't forget your mugs. Don't forget your mugs. The pinned link. Oh, no. Okay, this might be funny. All right, let's watch this. This is new.
What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more. What do you?
Okay. That was funny. Scott Nelson said, after your confession about Suffolk women, you may need that flower money today, my friend. Love your show. Only channel I pay for on YouTube. Well, I married the second time a very beautiful woman, not from Suffolk County, and she's how can I put it? She's substantially younger than the girls I was dating in Suffolk County at the time. She's lovely. She's very secure in her relationship with me. Let's see. That might have been the only extra one. Yeah, I think so. Oh, got another couple super chats. All right, let me hit those. Gito, $10 says, all right, I'm out for the night. Go get some supper, Andrew. It's actually on a plate right here. It's been here the whole time I've been talking. Grim Saga, $5. Wish I could have said hi while you were in town on Timcast last night. I lived just down the street. Oh, I didn't know that, my friend. Well, I let everyone know I was going to be in town. I was in Charlestown. I think I was at the Holiday Inn Express. 2 words, Charlestown. Where I lived in Massachusetts for 25 years. We have our own Charlestown, but it's one word. And it's a very different place than Charlestown, West Virginia. But it's a nice little town. I like it there. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining me for the last 2 hours and seeing this sentencing through. I'll be back again at our normal time of 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. And, right, 10 a.m. Eastern time? No, 10 a.m. my time. Sorry. Noon Eastern time. Noon Eastern time. We'll do an open access show on a topic I still have to pick. Oh, let me check. Megan Kelly was asking me if I wanted to come on. All right, but they never got back to me. I said I could tomorrow morning. If they get back to me and ask me to be on, I'll send that a message on X and on the YouTube community post, and we can all get together. I'll share the link, and you can watch me on the Megan Kelly show. But I'm planning on doing a normally scheduled The Branca show, noon tomorrow Eastern time, and then probably a members only show after that, as we usually do. Until then, I remain attorney Andrew Branca for The Branca Show. Stay safe.